Hey, so I tried Neurodynamic Breathwork, and in this video, I'm going to share with you my experience, what it is, how to get started, and if it may be right for you. Now, you may be wondering, why do I look like this? And as it turns out, it's actually kind of hard to do a video like this, but I share this because this is the setup that you will have, and as I went through when I tried this new style of meditation practice. So earphones, eye shades on. Now, the only difference is here, I was laying down on the floor with a blanket and kind of like corpse pose, if you imagine what people do at the end of yoga. And I had a pretty powerful experience as I did this. So, as I went through it, by the end of the about hour or so of practice, I found myself kind of laying with my hands kind of weirdly clenched, like up here, and just saying to myself, I can live this way if I just have faith. I can live this way if I just have faith. I can live this way if I just have faith. And it ended up being kind of a weird, sort of psychedelic-y almost experience, even though there were no drugs or nefarious substances involved. So I'll talk to you about my experience, what went into it, and everything like that. Let's get started. So, why would we want to do some sort of practice like this, and what is it? And so, neurodynamic breath work, I should say at the beginning, I'm not like affiliated with them. I'm not sponsoring them or, selling you on some course or something with them. I was just had it suggested to me by someone who's kind of a coach that I worked with. And he said, hey, you may want to try it. And there's a website, which down below at the my link, you can find the link within that if you want to try it. But it's really a kind of a meditation type practice that involves two core things, which number one is intentional breathing, and number two is what I would almost describe as like psychoactive or kind of psychedelic music that is very hard to put into words. It's mostly like drum type beats and rhythmic beats, no like words being sung. And so you go into this state of kind of deep focused breathing in a certain way paired with this music. And I would suggest that it is meant to sort of pacify our thinking mind that most of the time is always being all rational and analytical and, oh, there's stuff we have to do and check my email and what am I going to eat for dinner. It's a way of sort of stepping out of that into a sort of deeper level of awareness. And the reason we may want to practice this is to deal with things like the normal stress and anxiety. In particular, if you're like me, like your very like hyper rational mind is going and thinking all the time. Again, it can help to kind of step back into a deeper sense of stillness and ultimately awareness and some of the clarity that comes out. Because, you probably can think about this. There's always like two types of knowing. There's the more intellectual knowing, and then maybe sometimes a deeper sense of clarity and understanding. And so you're just trying to build a technique that can help you access that psychological state, is the case I would make. So how does it work? Well, as I shared, right, you're gonna get those. Some earphones are ideal. Eye shades. You're then laying on your back in a comfortable position, likely with a blanket, maybe a pillow. You should have comfortable clothing, maybe some water nearby, and a private and quiet space. Because some weird things can happen as you do this. Even for me, I'm not the type that's usually like super out there and mystical or some BS like that. But even as I was laying there, I felt myself doing kind of like weird dancing type motions with my hands or doing little gestures. Again, it was kind of weird. I'm not saying like it was weird. I don't know how to explain it. So once you have that set up, you can try this on your own. But again, I suggest I'll include a link below to a place where you can do a free class, or you can just look up a guided video of it on YouTube. But you're going to breathe in a certain way. And now, how you want to think of doing this is inflating your lungs to about 90%, but don't like force it. Okay, so you're trying to kind of have a deep, like your belly is rising and your diaphragm is expanding as you breathe in. So like really full breaths. This can be done through the mouth or through the nose, but you're going to want to exhale out the mouth. And then there's a style of breathing it's called circular breathing. So you're trying not to really pause at the top or bottom. So to do a compare and contrast, you can imagine breathing in normally, and then you kind of pause, breathe out, and then you kind of pause for a half second, breathe in. In this style, it's more like You see how there's no real pause there? And so you're breathing very deeply with no pause, a little bit faster than usual. So again, kind of like I was doing there. Etc. But you're lying down as you do it. And now, as you breathe that way, I really like the analogy that the instructor used in the program I watched, which is it's kind of like pedaling a bike. Okay, you go back to your breathing as almost that rhythm of pedaling the bike, but along the way, you can stop and enjoy the scenery. Like if you're biking through the mountains, you're gonna pedal, 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 coast for a while, see how things go, and then be like, okay, I'm kind of slowing down, I need to pick it up here, pedal some more, then you go for a while, and then you say, okay, I can slow down again. And so you don't have to hyper focus on, especially not intellectually, right? Remembering, again, okay, I have to breathe this way, breathe this way, breathe this way. No, it's just meant to kind of be this, again, like pedaling a bicycle, that when you need to get a little bit more momentum, or maybe you're caught up in your thoughts, or you see yourself sort of getting caught up in thinking and remembering and sort of maybe out of touch with that deeper level of awareness, then you can kind of get more conscious of your breathing and intentional pedal for a little bit, and it can help you kind of sink back into the meditation, we'll say. Okay. So that is how you do it. And basically, whenever you feel the breath taking over, or you drop into these states of maybe sometimes deep relaxation, or again, even kind of impromptu movements, or this is something you may want to be mindful of, is these states of really deep relaxation where you feel like you're almost breathing like maybe 2 or 3 times in an entire minute. That's all okay. You just want to trust the process of letting the breathing and letting the meditation and the breath work go wherever it takes you. So that kind of sets up to talk about my experience. Like I said, going into this, I was totally a skeptic, but as you maybe know from watching my channel or my background creating the Happiness Stage PhD project, I tend to be very curious, both intellectually of wanting to like study things, learn new information, but also with practices and experiences, and what are things like tools you can actually do and experiences you can have that can shape your consciousness or your happiness. And so this kind of fell into the latter. Say, I want to try this experience. And I must say, I was quite pleased, and I see a lot of value in this. In fact, I'm going to continue building this into my kind of portfolio of mind training practices that I incorporate. And so, what I went through is I started to breathe that way. And first thing I noticed were these deep kind of trance states of, like I said, there were times where my breathing was so like shallow and slow that I actually had like almost a little panic where I would be like, oh, like, am I gonna like die? Okay, and then I would remember that it is like impossible to make yourself die by just not breathing, because even if you pass out, like your nervous system will take over and it will keep you breathing. Trust me, that is how that works. So I had a few moments of that, and then I also had something that I've experienced before in my time living as a Zen Buddhist monk, which are these small glimpses of what's called samadhi, which I'm not claiming to be enlightened or something, far from it, but samadhi are states where essentially your awareness kind of becomes immersed in, and it becomes one with your breathing or the present moment. And I almost describe it as like the breath breathes itself. You're just sort of aware of what's happening, but you're sort of like almost just, there's no separation. It's like I sometimes describe it as the moment experiencing itself, or the experience experiencing itself. So I had some of these deep states where the thoughts and all that kind of disappeared, and I felt like I was just there, kind of that I was a part of the experience itself. So again, sort of these deep states, and like I said, finally at the end, my mind sort of would drift back into certain thoughts and memories, and it came back to a time my senior year at the University of Alabama where I just felt like it was a very happy season of life. And there are certain things I did that supported that, which I uncovered in this practice, and a lot of it had to do with sort of aiming low with respect to productivity, and just saying, hey, I'm going to focus on just being a college kid for my last couple months here. I'm not going to stress about work. I'm not going to try to max out my productivity. I'm just sort of going to go with the flow of life and really prioritize being here for the experience of my life. And I found that was a very beautiful time of life for me. And that led me to, at the end of this meditation, thinking to myself and literally saying aloud spontaneously, you can live that way if you just have faith. You can live that way again if you just have faith. And what I think my subconscious was telling me is that I can live in a way where I'm really maximizing happiness. I'm really living intentionally. My priority is fully experiencing my life instead of, trying to get things done and work towards a better future tomorrow. If I have faith in myself and trusting the process, then I can live that way right now. And it was crazy. As soon as I had that powerful insight, the guy's voice came back on and he's like, okay, it's been an hour. We've reached the end of our session. You can come back into the room. And so overall, I thought it was a really powerful arc. The music was super weird. If you try this, you're going to listen to some of it and be like, what the hell have I gotten myself into? But it just felt like this weird arc where I had these, moments of deep clarity, these kind of weird, almost psychedelic out-of-body states. I would have certain memories and insights, and then it finally kind of culminated in that really powerful takeaway that I still remember. It's been a couple weeks now, and it's still top of mind for me. And I don't know. I don't think there was something mystical happening. I'm not necessarily a big believer in that. I just think that we can engage in certain practices that evoke very strange and often practical insights from kind of the depths of our minds and our psychology. And so I don't think that any practice is like holy or the secret ingredient or some ultimate thing. I would encourage you, and my experience with this one is to just try them and use them as tools. If they help you to be happier or to get clarity or to process something, then it's a great tool. You should use it. If you have a good shovel, you should use it to dig holes. Don't put it up on your wall and pray to it and worship it. No. These practices, both spiritual and psychological, are tools to be used to live a better life. And I would say after one session of this, you don't need to go spend $10,000 on some guru's breathwork academy, but it may be worth trying a free class or paying $30 for a class or seeing if your local yoga studio has it. Again, I'll include a link down below to the one that I happened to use that I thought was valuable. And so I think, there you have it. My review, some of what to expect, how to do it, and everything you need to know to get started. So again, if you want a little preview of that, down below I include in my link website that I used, as well as a sample of kind of the music that you can use. I'm sure you can find stuff on YouTube. You have now my how-to of how to do it. So even if you want to go back, listen to the instructions I gave you, then you can also get some of the music, get your headphones on, and just try it yourself of breathing in that certain pattern while listening to these kind of psychoactive music playlists, and just see what this experience reveals for you. You may find that at the very least it was interesting and novel. I know I certainly did. I thought it was super weird, but in a good way. And then you may get some value from it as well as we explore this kind of mystery of the emotional and psychological elements of the human condition. So as always, thank you for watching. If you want more videos like this that are kind of experiences and reviews and maybe experiments as well, feel free to let me know. I take requests as well. But as always on this channel, I try to share both research, lessons, and tools to help you be your very best in your work and in your life. That's what the Happiness PhD project is all about. So here's a video that YouTube suggests you'll like. Until then, I'll see you next time. Thanks for watching.